Welcome to the second video in this series about day-to-day operations in Bifrost. In this video I will show you how to create a restricted service, that is a service which only gives where Bifrost only gives access to known users. The first thing to do is to create a service. I should maybe say that this involves configuring both a new service, a new access, and a new profile, or alternatively in reusing old profiles and old accesses. But let's start by creating a new service. We can call it my restricted service, and we can give it a external path, R for restricted, and let's make a WMS service and give it a good description. Like so. And we can give it some keywords. Let's make some cadastral data available. We have some on a Geo server. Let's mark this as restricted, also in the metadata. Let's give it a 10-second timeout. As I mentioned in video number 1, this timeout is to specify how long Bifrost is supposed to wait for the backend to answer. If the backend answers within 10 seconds, then the answer is safely piped onto the user. But if the backend is somehow unresponsive and doesn't answer within 10 seconds, then Bifrost will return a helpful error message to the user. We need an endpoint. I have configured I'm not much mistaken, I have a WMS service at this endpoint. Seems right. I wonder if that is the one with, yes, this, whoops, sorry about that. This GEOteamwork is Danish for cadastre, so I'll just copy this, the root of this endpoint, and insert it here, add endpoint. I want to make a restricted service, and note the fine print here where we mentioned that it is required to have an access and a profile in order for anybody to access a restricted service. So we will go on in a minute and create an access and a profile. In the meantime, or before that I should say, I just want to check that I entered the endpoint correctly, and this seems fine. So let's create the service. So far so good. Let me just check that this service exists but doesn't give access to anything. Let's see. Firefox tells me in Danish that I cannot access the service. If I am savvy enough to open the development tools, I can see here that the access has given me a HTTP 403 forbidden, which means that the service exists on the system, but I'm not allowed to see it. And that is of course because I haven't given any access to it yet. So let's do that. Let's create a new access. Call it something imaginative. And in my opinion, it is always a good idea here to mention in the description explicitly which service this gives access to. If I can remember the service name, It was called My Restricted Service. So, and you can see that over here on the right, I now have a list of all the layers accessible in this or available on the backend, and I will say that we want to give access to this layer in particular. Note that this means that there's this field here occurs where I can, if I wish, I could enter a CQL filter, which could restrict the access even further. I'll show you how that works in another video, but for now I'll simply click create access. This looks fine. It's a nice green box. So now Bifrost has an access registered, but no users have this access yet. In order to do that, I need a new profile. We can call that my profile, and to my mind, I recommend that you consider this as a group of users. So we will describe here. I will describe here what kind of users I expect this profile to apply to. Like this, for instance. And I'm going to choose this user. This is the list of known users from wherever Bifrost knows users from. And over here on the right, I'm going to choose the access I just created and let that be part of this this profile. So now I have given Anders Bæk access to my access. I can choose multiple accesses here if I want. If I want this profile, this type of users given by my profile to have access to more than one access. This could be different services or different mostly different services. It could also be various different types of access to the same service. But for now, I will just stick with the one access and create a profile. So now actually I should be able to refresh this and see that I get a get capabilities response, because now, yeah, I should mention of course that this is of course the credentials for this the user Anders Bæk. So you have now seen how to create a restricted service and how to give users access to it. Thanks for watching.